This is Dave.
Another cup of tea.
And this is Phil. And introducing Stephen Seagull. And by day to pay the bills.
I'm a welder and fabricator working out of my own workshop in Devon.
I'm an instructor in the private security sector. I specialise in physical intervention and restraint.
But at the weekend, with minimal experience and equipment, they are following their passion to become treasure divers.
Hi and welcome to episode 2 of Treasure Divers, our search for the wreck of the Albemarle.
Yeah, welcome to this episode 2 of Treasure Divers UK.
But in the meantime, we'll fill you in on the story so far.
So, as you might gather, we're a couple of amateur divers, and we're searching for the lost wreck of the Albemarle. She went down in December 1708 off the Cornish coast.
But incidentally, Cornwall is the setting for the well-known period drama Poldark.
You're on TV. Okay. Right, so previously we've had issues with shore diving and the tidal currents. Where we know that the wreck is, well, we hope the wreck is, you can only get to it by boat really. We've tried shore diving and it's been an absolute nightmare. It takes so long to get out there and you use so much air that you haven't really got very long to before you have to come back. So we knew we had to have a boat. And I found this boat on eBay, a rigid inflatable boat, which is an Avon Sea Rider, and I bought it for £100. You're in for a treat. You see some enthusiasm. Look at this. What do you reckon? That's £100 on eBay.
100 quid.
That is an Avon Sea Rider, 4 metre.
Oh, those are good. Look at that. Hello, what was that?
That's me dropping it. Look at that, not bad for £100. Yeah, that's right, Phil. She had some issues, obviously, because a rib for £100. She's bound to have some issues. There was some hull damage. There's actually quite a few big holes in the hull, actually. Nothing too serious, but luckily we've got some very good friends at a local fiberglass manufacturing business, and they gave us some expert tips on how to repair it. And in fact, they did most of the work as well. Hey Phil! How's it going, mate?
Alright, yeah, thanks.
Oh, you come to see Stephen, have you? See how he's getting on?
Stephen. Oh, he's in a new place.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. Hey, he's getting feathered up now, isn't he?
Yeah.
You're doing a good job there, Dave.
Thanks.
No, really, it's
Surrogate father.
surrogate father to
My
Stephen.
first seagull.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's doing well, mate. Yeah, he's getting his feathers.
he was doomed.
He was doomed. Yeah, when we found him, he was getting
He was mobbed and attacked.
mobbed and pecked, weren't you, mate?
Yeah. You're in safe hands now, though, sunshine. Hey, yes. Hello. You know what that is, don't you? That's a good boy or girl, I wonder.
He's a boy, isn't he?
A boy called Stephen.
Yeah.
Seagull, there is. Stephen. That's nice, isn't it? Well done. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. See what he's doing there?
Funny little dance.
Yeah, a little dance. You know what that is, don't you? To bring up the worms on the grass.
Yeah, they do that on, yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is a nice wash after dinner, you can't beat it. Then I'll probably have a snooze. Yeah. There you go. Go on, do your little dance.
He stretches his wings as well. He practices flying.
Yeah?
Yeah, first thing in the morning especially.
Yeah. And we soon realised that we'd need to make a launch trolley for it, given that the boat's so heavy.
Where are we today, Phil?
Today we're in Dave's workshop. This is his workshop. There's a few projects on the go in here at the moment, as you can see. But today's aim is to make us a launch trolley for the Avon Sea Rider that we got. To get it into Talon Bay nice and easily, stress-free. And actually, we're on a budget as usual. It's just the whole thing is set up on a bit of a budget. So we're going to make the thing ourselves and see how it goes. Trolley took about a day to make and was pretty straightforward, really. Nice and easy.
But even having the launch trolley, that threw up even more problems because even though it had some good tyres on it, nice pneumatic tyres with plenty of air in, we still had to drag it up the beach, and depending on when the tide was, how far the water was from the car park, we ended up, because it was so heavy as well, we ended up roping in members of the public to help us drag this thing up up the beach and back to the car park. So it was a real drama.
We decided to use the public slipway at the lovely town of Looe, which is around about half a mile east of Popero.
Yeah, so we decided to launch from the town of Looe, and that's spelled L-O-O-E. Really nice little fishing village or town, small town, and they've got a public slip, which means you can use it to launch your boat free. It doesn't cost anything. Sorry about the traffic.
It's a quiet country lane which turns into Brands Hatch every time we try and film here.
Yeah. But because it's tidal, obviously that presents lots of problems because we can only then launch at certain times. So we have to launch at high tide each time, and then we have to stay out for like 12 hours and then come back in on high tide, which is a bit of a pain.
Yeah, so that's right. And the first time we tried it, I think high tide was roughly 6:32. Looking at the tide tables at Looe, it takes us a couple of hours to get down there from where we live. And having got in from work at around about 11 o'clock the night before, and then getting up at 4 o'clock to get over to Dave's to get the boat organised and get down there, was a bit of a nightmare. But we did it.
Yeah, that's right. My cat was totally confused. So what are we doing today, Phil?
Well, first day launching at Looe. So quite.
So first day we're going to use this public slipway in Looe.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier than.
A lot easier than taking it down the beach at the Talon.
Yeah.
So with a bit of luck and a prevailing wind. Hi Dave. Gonna go under a bridge. Of a better thing to do than muck about on the ocean waves.
So Phil bought an outboard for the boat, which came from a reputable seller on eBay, but it decided to pack up on us in a particularly rough sea.
That's right. And that was a bit challenging. I asked Dave to throw the anchor overboard, which he did, while I tried to have a look at the engine.
Yeah, so I dropped the anchor, but it started dragging and we were getting closer and closer to the rocks.
Well, filming was the last thing on our minds, so unfortunately folks, there's no footage of that disaster, although we did get some footage of us when we finally reached the shore, narrowly averting a disaster.
radio, and we'd informed the Coast Guard that we were out and diving, but calling the Coast Guard in an emergency was the last thing we wanted to do.
Luckily, it didn't come to that. Dave had to go at the engine, and it started, and so we drove full tilt back to the shoreline and to safety.
Sorry mate, but there's never a better time to film. Well, we fucking made it back anyway. Didn't think that was going to happen for a minute, Dave, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was thinking we'd have to radio the Coast Guard. We nearly had to radio the Coast Guard. You know what they say, Dave? Shit happens. Well, because we were just crying on the inside, weren't we? We didn't let it show. Yeah, that's it. It's I've been there before in different things, you know, one thing and another. Jumping out of airplanes and shit. Yeah. And you think, oh, that's a fucking shame. That's a shame. You don't go, I'm gonna die! You go, that's a pity. I didn't think it was gonna be today. Yeah. Yeah.
So you taking it off?
Yeah.
It's just
getting it off.
made it worse. Oh well, it's going to get worse, isn't it, before it gets better?
It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's very good, Phil.
So a bit disappointing, Dave.
Yeah.
All in all.
Yeah.
Today.
Totally a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. We're going to talk about it in a minute.
Yeah. We need to have a little debrief.
Yeah, have a debrief.
No one's fault, but that's one of those.
Go over what went wrong.
Yeah.
Certainly did go wrong.
Not just a dry suit slit. That's really a minor issue compared to what we just had.
Yeah, we've had a pretty calamitous session, to be honest. It was a bloody nightmare, to be honest. We thought we was going to have to call the Coast Guard out. With engine failure on the rib, and the tide was playing up, and it was rocking like hell. We just couldn't get the engine going again. Just couldn't get it going. It was coughing and spluttering. We dropped anchor, but even the anchor was dragging us closer and closer to the rocks. Eventually, we let the motor rest for a minute, for 5 minutes. What seemed like 5 minutes, but
Probably a bit longer.
probably. And then I had to go and fired her up.
Dave got it started.
She got going. Just long enough to get us back. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't a good experience, but we coped. Well, we were lucky we got it going again. If we hadn't got it going again, we'd have been in trouble.
That would have been a call to the Coast Guard,
Yeah,
because we were too close to the rocks to take a chance on
yeah,
putting it in anywhere.
yeah.
else,
We couldn't
so
go anywhere with it.
It wasn't a thing to do.
It's just jagged rocks there. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we're here. The Albemarle was wrecked on these rocks.
Yeah.
You know,
We nearly did the same.
we were nearly the same. So, are we jinxed? Is there a jinx on the
I
Albemarle?
was starting to wonder, really. It's not the first time we've had a few issues. Yeah.
The next weekend we did return, and we made a successful dive on what we think is the actual wreck area.
Unfortunately, we're still getting used to these cameras, underwater cameras, and either one of us accidentally hit a switch which did something like photo burst. So when we came to download the footage onto the computer afterwards, we ended up with about 8,000 separate photographs. So that was a bit of a disaster. Never mind.
Right, so what we've done is we've put together some still images in some kind of montage, and hopefully that'll sort of show the dive anyway as best we can.
And we double check the cameras now every time we dive.
Yeah, luckily for you, Phil, the cameras missed you getting a total head fuck underwater, and I had to spring into action and get you back in the boat.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Dave. Actually, what it was, I think the water was very cold. I was in a hurry to get down. I descended too quickly, which is a no-no. My head felt like it was going to explode. I seriously did think it was going to burst. But luckily, Dave sprang into action and helped me back on the boat. So thanks, Dave.
You're welcome, Phil. Anytime. And that's what buddies are for. And that's why you should always dive with a buddy. And that has actually prompted me now to embark on a PADI rescue diver course. So in the future you're going to see me on that. Tune in for episode 3 when Stephen gets even bigger and angrier.
We give up on the Honda outboard and buy a brand new one.
But we still don't learn by our mistakes, and I buy a dinghy on eBay.
A total teabag.